Good morning. All right, welcome everybody to the Cleveland Moorings. I am Lieutenant Maria McElhaney, the Executive Officer at Marine Safety Unit Cleveland, and it is my honor to be your Master of Ceremonies this morning. I see a lot of familiar faces here, others that are new, and I cannot tell you how happy we are to have you here today to help us celebrate the life and accomplishments of Dr. Olivia Hooker. Before we get started, please silence your phones for the duration of the ceremony. All right, thank you. First of all, I would like to welcome our official party, the Honorable Justin Bibb, City of Cleveland Mayor, Rear Admiral Johnston, Commander, 9th Coast Guard District, Mr. Kerry Howard, Director of Public Safety, City of Cleveland, Lieutenant Commander Jeremy Maginot, Commanding Officer, Marine Safety Unit Cleveland, Lieutenant Commander Jason Aaron, 9th Coast Guard District Chaplain, and I would like to give a especially warm welcome to Ms. Janice Porter, who is Dr. Olivia Hooker's goddaughter, and she's here with us today from New York, sharing this special occasion with us. So thank you for coming, Ms. Porter. Sorry. I would also like to recognize those in attendance today, Representative from Senator Brown's office, Senator Portman's office, and Representative Brown's office, Captain Cooperman, Commander, Sector Buffalo, Commanding Officers of Base and Civil Engineering Unit Cleveland, our Cleveland City leaders, government and industry partners, representatives from the University of Rochester, Davis A&M High School, and especially to our students that join us today. We cannot wait to see you up here on this stage as the future leaders of the Coast Guard in a couple of years. Of course, I wanted to thank everybody from Team Coast Guard that is here today. And last but not least, I wanted to recognize the efforts of our crews at Marine Safety Unit Cleveland, Station Cleveland Harbor, Electronic Support Detachment Cleveland, and Base Cleveland Procurement, because this event would not have been possible without them. All right, today you're gonna hear quite a bit about Dr. Olivia Hooker from our speakers. So I wanted to start with an opportunity to talk to you, because you could have been anywhere else today. But you chose to be here with us on Women's Equality Day, no less. And perhaps you thought you were here to learn more about Dr. Olivia Hooker and her life and her accomplishments, or to help us dedicate our beautiful building to her. And while those things are true, I actually have an ask for you. I ask that those of you who are here today choose this day to reaffirm our shared commitment to equity, to inclusion, and to eliminating barriers to success that are still very real for many today. Well over 100 years after the Tulsa race riots, and over 77 years after Dr. Hooker became the first African-American woman to join the Coast Guard. Because that is how we carry on her legacy. That is how we continue her work. And together, we can make our very much interconnected worlds a better place for all. So let's get started. It's my pleasure now to introduce Lieutenant Commander Jeremy Maginot, Commanding Officer, Marine Safety Unit Cleveland, for opening remarks.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Lieutenant McElhaney, for the introduction. Mayor Bibb, Director Howard, Rear Admiral Johnston, Ms. Porter, fellow Coasties, and maritime and community leaders, good morning and welcome to the Cleveland Moorings. The Cleveland Moorings is home to 5 Coast Guard operational commands or units: Marine Safety Unit Cleveland, the cutters Nia Bay and Morro Bay, Station Cleveland Harbor, as well as Electronic Support Detachment Cleveland. On behalf of these crews, we welcome you here today to this ceremony. It is my honor to be here today and have the privilege of introducing our presiding officer, the commander of the 9th Coast Guard District, Rear Admiral Michael Johnston. Before I move forward with my introduction, I wanted to take this opportunity to highlight a few of the champions and some of the story which brings us here today. In 2012, the Coast Guard completed construction of this nearly $12.3 million magnificent structure, which we are dedicating today. When I checked into the unit and assumed command, one of the first things I noticed was that the building had yet to be dedicated. From that point forward, I knew my objective was to find the right namesake and ensure their legacy was memorialized. We are here today to accomplish that objective. It did not take long for me to realize the Coast Guard and Ohio have one, or at least one, important thing in common, namely our shared history with Dr. Olivia Juliet Hooker. Though the life, commitment, and mark on history of Dr. Hooker's legacy is more than I can share in a short few minutes, I encourage you all to take the time to read about her life and experiences. I think you will quickly see a trailblazer, academic, and community leader who never lost faith in her community or the American dream, despite the atrocities happening in the world, both domestically and abroad. I had the distinct pleasure of meeting Dr. Hooker in April 2013 when the Coast Guard dedicated a building in her honor at Sector New York in Staten Island. I fondly remember that day and meeting her after the ceremony as she was being escorted around the installation. I knew at the time I was meeting a Coast Guard hero. In 2020, Bosun Master Chief Stephen Beasley, the previous officer in charge of Station Cleveland Harbor, and I started the project to dedicate our facility in Dr. Hooker's honor. As you can imagine, the shore facility naming request promptly made it through the chain of command and to the Coast Guard Headquarters Naming Board, where the request was later formalized and approved. Today serves as a symbol of many things. First, we are here to dedicate our building in Dr. Hooker's honor, as she is, in all respects, a Coast Guard pioneer and hero. Second, our presence here today is symbolic of the Coast Guard's future and commitment to the principles of diversity and inclusion. It is of note that today is also Women's Equality Day, where on August 26, 1920, after decades of hard-fought advocacy, women won the right to vote, and our nation moved one step closer to living out our sacred ideal that all people are created equal. Today would not be possible without the help of so many Coasties, but I would be remiss if I did not specifically name a few. Petty Officers William Nicholas and Cody Mayer served as MSU Cleveland's enlisted champions to ensure today was memorable and meaningful. My executive officer, our MC, served as a project officer. Further, a special and most heartfelt thanks go to both SK1 Jarrett and SK2 Rapid at the base Cleveland procurement team who made this project a priority and a success despite all the competing demands in their portfolio. Finally, I would like to thank all of you for coming out here to commemorate this special day and show Miss Porter how important her godmother's legacy is to our service and future. Without further ado, it is my honor to introduce Rear Admiral Michael Johnston, the commander of the 9th Coast Guard District, the senior Coast Guard commander for the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway. Admiral.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, family, friends, shipmates. It's an honor to be here today to dedicate this building. I want to thank you, Maria, for setting all this up, being a projects officer, Jeremy, for the introduction, and all of you in the audience who took the time to come. There's a lot of senior people here, a lot of Coasties, and we have our future Coasties over here, which is awesome, and a great partnership with the local school here, and then Senior Chief Rue and Jeremy, who live in this building. Appreciate all of your work in bringing this to fruition. A special welcome to Senator Portman's staff, Mr. Ruben Garcia, and Senator Brown staff, Blair Austin, and Congresswoman Chantel Brown staff, Kimberly Edwards, for joining us today. Of course, thank you to Mayor Bibb for coming out. He's been an awesome partner in championing and brought the entire city staff here with us. I mean, we definitely do feel the love and the partnership, and really that's what makes getting the mission done so successful in this region is those partnerships. A special welcome, as we said before, to Mrs. Janice Porter, who came from New Jersey, flew in, and is flying out at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I will tell you, I wouldn't even be doing that. And so, but she is all in. She is all in for making sure that people knew what her godmother stood for, and for helping the Coast Guard celebrate one of. So thank you for today. It's a very special occasion, honoring one of our heroes and memorializing her name in memory on this building. This building has its own history, and more than that, it has a mission. People that eat here, that work here, that live here, they bring this building to life with a singular focus for saving lives and protecting these Great Lakes. And so when you think about what to call this building, and Jeremy was instrumental in this, to bring this fruition, there can be no greater call to greatness than Dr. Olivia Hooker. I was at a ceremony, a retirement ceremony, a couple of weeks ago, and Admiral Midget was there, and he was talking about it. Was a Sunday one day, and it was after church, and his little girl was sitting in a corner and being very quiet, and so it was suspicious because she wasn't normally that way. And so, of course, he went over to investigate. He said, "Hey, what's going on? What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And he said, "Hey, nobody really knows what God looks like." And she said, "Well, that's because I'm not done, silly." If you ever have a daughter, you know what I'm talking about. Those things come out. But it's true that we don't know what God looks like, but we see glimpses of what He looks like in people and their actions, their compassion, their unselfish and enduring love, and their support, and their ability to transform others for the better. And so many from the younger generation may not know who Dr. Olivia Hooker was or what she stood for, and therefore it's events like these which allow us to remember our heroes, those extraordinary examples of what we should all strive for. Dr. Hooker is known for being the first African-American woman to wear the Coast Guard uniform, but what happened before that, and what happened after that? That is the story that we want to share, and I'll just talk a little bit about it in the hopes that it inspires you to investigate more. And so I think, I'm a big Marvel, DC fan, and I always find it unfortunate that every superhero journey starts with a tragedy. But our story here is very similar. Dr. Hooker grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was in Tulsa in 1921 when this six-year-old witnessed one of the worst race riots in the history of the United States. The Tulsa Race Massacre, as it would later be known, resulted in over 300 dead, 10,000 people displaced. Her entire town of Greenwood destroyed. People came into her home to burn it, threatened her parents, killed friends and neighbors. And these were people that she had known that had come in and bought stuff from her store. Now, this type of incident did affect young Olivia. How could it not? How could it not? But she refused to succumb to cynicism and hopelessness. And in fact, similar to the remarkable individuals like Anne Frank, Dr. Hooker would hold on to this memory and use it as a catalyst to motivate her to make the world a better place. Now, I met her in 2015 when they brought her to headquarters, and they were unveiling an entire wing of Coast Guard headquarters in her name. And she said a lot of things when she was there, but two things really stuck with me. And the first one was, if you dwell on your misery, you're not helping yourself or anybody else. And that's about resiliency. And we talk about that every day, right? There is tragedy in everyone's life, and we need to learn how to deal with it and turn it into something positive, a force for good. And then the second quote is, it's not about you or me, it's about what we can give this world. And I have long believed that this is the essence of leadership. Now, the events in Tulsa would lead her family to move to Columbus, Ohio, where she would earn her bachelor's degree in education from Ohio State University and begin teaching third grade. And I'll tell you, my daughter teaches third grade, and that is no easy task. That is no easy, but it is the foundation of everyone's beginning to learn, to read, to write, to do math, and really having a love for those things. When World War II broke out, Olivia, now 30, was not angry or resentful for what happened in the past. She was hopeful. She wanted to help this country reach its dream. However, because of the color of her skin, she wasn't allowed to join the Navy, but she remained undaunted. And then in November of 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt signed a law to establish the SPARS. And this new law allowed women to serve in the Coast Guard Reserve for the duration of World War II. And then 2 years later, allowed women of color to join. And Dr. Olivia Hooker became the first African-American woman to join the Coast Guard and joined the SPARS, who has an incredible history as well, and whose namesake is also assigned in the Great Lakes. But her recruiting officer said, it's not easy for Ms. Hooker to take this step of enlistment. She's the first Negro woman to be accepted by the SPARS and is in full realization of that fact. That's what I would call an understatement. In full realization of that fact. But then she went on to say, but she feels sincere desire to serve, and further feels that she's opening this field for young women of her race. And we're going to talk about that a little later, but as an Oklahoma and Ohio native, she wasn't very familiar with the maritime environment, but she enlists in the reserve. She joins the SPARS at boot camp in Manhattan, and then off to Boston, where she served the rest of her term at the Coast Guard Separation Center, taking care of folks as they were coming and going into the service. When the war finally ended, the SPARS program was disbanded, and Dr. Hooker returned to civilian life, having earned the rank of second-class petty officer. Now, following her term in the service, she utilized the GI Bill for its benefits, another great aspect of the organization. And she earned her master's in psychology from the prestigious Columbia University, and then her PhD from the University of Rochester, just a few hours east of here. As a teacher, mentor, and clinician, she devoted the rest of her life to helping people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, healing the sick. She turned lives around at the Albion Correctional Facility for Women. She offered therapy and support to children at the Kennedy Child Center, and she inspired generations of students for 22 years as a senior clinical lecturer and honors professor at Fordham University. And while she may no longer have been wearing the official service uniform, Dr. Hooker did not lose her love for the Coast Guard, and in her spare time, until the very end of her life, she proudly served in the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Now, when President Obama spoke in 2015 at the Coast Guard Academy graduation commencement ceremony, and Dr. Hooker was 100 years old, sitting in the front row. He said, listen, I'm trying to do my impersonation, but it doesn't. Listen. He called her an inspiration for the remarkable life she had led, and shared with the graduates that quote, that's the essence of leadership. It's not about you or me, it's about what we can give the world. And I would just ask you all what we could accomplish if we all internalized that. Dr. Hooker passed away in 2018 at the age of 103. However, her groundbreaking legacy is still part, not just part of the Coast Guard history, but all military services, as we strive to significantly increase our diversity, equity, and inclusions in our service. Her legacy lives on with the accomplishments of women like Captain Alexia Littlejohn, who previously served as sector commander in Buffalo, now the Commandant's Action Group leader. Captain Zeta Merchant, Sector Commander in New York. Captain Rachel Lewis, CEO of the Maritime Intelligence Fusion Center in Pacific. Lieutenant Commander Allison Golson, Commanding Officer of the Coast Guard Cutter Benjamin Bottoms. Lieutenant Karita Harris, previously Commanding Officer of Coast Guard Cutter Ibis, now Howard Law School. Lieutenant Jale Merritt, Commanding Officer of Coast Guard Cutter Myrtle Hazard, and Lieutenant Brianna Townsend, Commanding Officer Catherine Walker. I could go on about the list of people that have been impacted by Dr. Hooker's incredible work. She was a trailblazer who made it possible for these young women to achieve their own personal goals and enriched our organization by driving us forward to success. Their achievements remind me of a quote by Sir Isaac Newton. He said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Dr. Hooker was a giant, and her legacy will continue to cause ripples far out into the future. And therefore, I can think of no more individual deserving to have her name enshrined on this building, a building focused on saving lives, safety and security of our people and our environment, and the American dream. Well, thank you all for coming today, and Semper Paratus.
Thank you, Admiral Johnston. I would like to invite Ms. Blair Austin to read a letter on behalf of Senator Brown, who unfortunately could not join us today.
Good morning. I bring you greetings from Senator Sherrod Brown this morning, who regrets that he could not be here for this wonderful occasion. Dear friends, thank you for the opportunity to add my appreciation in celebrating the naming of the Dr. Olivia J. Hooker Coast Guard building. The names we assign to our public spaces reveal what we as communities value. How fitting that the 9th Coast Guard District building will honor Dr. Hooker. She spent a lifetime serving our country, breaking barriers, and working to provide opportunities for all. Dr. Hooker led an extraordinary life, from her experience as a young child living through the Tulsa Race Massacre, to her service as the first Black woman in the U.S. Coast Guard, to her years as a psychologist and professor at Fordham University. We are proud that she served her college education here in Ohio, earning her degree from the Ohio State University in 1937, teaching 3rd grade, and advocating for African American women to be admitted to the U.S. Navy. We are grateful for Dr. Hooker's service and that of the Coast Guard Guardsmen of today, who dedicate their lives to protecting others. Thank you for all you do for our communities and our country. Sincerely, Senator Sherrod Brown.
Thank you. Finally, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Jasmine Lestry, Representative Brown's office, who will also read a resolution on her behalf.
Good morning. It's my honor and privilege to be here today on behalf of Congresswoman Brown in her absence, and she regrets that she's not able to be here in person herself, to deliver a congressional recognition for Dr. Olivia Hooker. On behalf of all who reside in the 11th Congressional District of Ohio, I am pleased to acknowledge the U.S. Coast Guard for naming their building after Dr. Olivia Hooker. Dr. Olivia Hooker was the first African American woman to enter the U.S. Coast Guard in February 1945. She became a spar, a member of the United States Coast Guard Women's Reserve during World War II, earning the rank of yeoman second class during her service. Dr. Hooker received her bachelor's degree from The Ohio State University, an alma mater that she shares with our former Congresswoman, Marcia L. Fudge of the Ohio 11th Congressional District, who is our current Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Dr. Hooker served in the Coast Guard until the unit was disbanded in mid-1946. She retired at the age of 87 and joined the Coast Guard Auxiliary at the age of 95 in Yonkers, New York. On May 20th, 2015, President Obama recognized Dr. Hooker's Coast Guard service and legacy while she attended the 134th commencement of the United States Coast Guard Academy. I am honored to celebrate the success and legacy of Dr. Olivia Hooker. Regards, Congresswoman Chantel Brown. In addition, I am honored to, on behalf of the Congresswoman, to present a congressional recognition to Ms. Janice Porter, Dr. Olivia Hooker's goddaughter. It is our privilege to share this day with you and hope it may add to the great pride you must have for your godmother, Dr. Olivia Hooker. Thank you.
Thank you. You've heard some remarkable words from our speakers today. For our non-Coast Guard members, I hope this event helped you understand why Dr. Hooker means so much to us, to the Coast Guard at large, and to all the communities she served. She lived our core values of honor, respect, and devotion to duty well beyond her military service, displayed a tireless commitment to lifelong learning, and never faltered in the face of adversity, lifting others with her along the way. She represents the kind of leaders that we've strived to be, that we want to attract, and that we want to develop in the Coast Guard. And for us, that happens in this building you see behind you. So it only seemed natural to name it after her. I would like now to invite the official party to do the official unveiling of the Dr. Olivia Hooker building.